The alarms rang across the human outpost, shaking walls and hearts at the same time. No one expected war to arrive this fast. One moment the sky was calm, the next it burned with fire. Enemy ships broke through the atmosphere like falling stars, spilling fire on the city below. Soldiers ran to their posts, shouting commands, but the ground already trembled from the first blasts. For Captain Rian, there was no time to think. He grabbed his rifle, pushed through the smoke, and led his squad toward the defense wall. The war had come to them, and they had no choice but to fight. But this battle was not like any war humans had fought before. The attackers were not raiders or rival colonies. They were something different, something ancient. Alien machines with glowing eyes and cold armor marched through the flames, tearing through defenses like paper. Energy beams cut the night, leaving nothing but burning steel behind. The first wave of human resistance collapsed within minutes. Still, Rian and his men held the line, fighting against shadows that seemed endless. He had no idea how long they could last. He only knew one thing: retreat was not an option. Amid the chaos, Rian noticed something strange. Beyond the battlefield, near the wreckage of a fallen tower, he saw movement. It wasn't one of his soldiers, nor was it one of the machines. A figure lay half buried under broken stone, faintly glowing, almost calling to him. At first he thought it was another enemy, but the glow was too weak, too fragile. Against every instinct, he left his post and ran toward it. The battlefield screamed behind him, but something in his chest told him this moment mattered more. When he reached the rubble, his breath caught in his throat. It was not a soldier, not even a human. It was a girl. Her skin shimmered blue under the dust, cracked with faint light running through like veins of fire. Her hair, long and silver, lay tangled across broken stone. A mask of strange metal covered half her face, glowing softly as if alive. Her chest rose and fell slowly, each breath shallow, each moment close to her last. She turned her glowing eyes toward him, and for the first time in hours, Rian froze. He dropped his weapon and pulled the heavy debris off her body. She gasped, a sound weak but filled with struggle, as if her voice had carried centuries of pain. He cradled her in his arms, shielding her from the falling dust and fire. Her armor was cracked, her skin bruised, but there was something about her that was not enemy. She looked at him with a gaze that pierced deeper than the battle. She wasn't here to destroy. She was here because she had already been destroyed. Why? Why are you here? Rian whispered, more to himself than to her. The girl coughed, her breath trembling, and her lips formed broken words. They were in no language he knew, yet somehow he felt the meaning inside his chest. Her voice carried warmth and sorrow together, like a melody written at the end of time. He could not understand the words, but he could understand the feeling. She was afraid. She was dying. And yet, she wanted him to listen. The ground shook again as another blast hit nearby. He pulled her closer, pressing her head gently against his shoulder. Dust and sparks rained down, but he didn't care. In that moment, the war around him faded. All that mattered was the girl in his arms, the faint glow of her eyes, and the weak pulse of her heart against his chest. He didn't know who she was, or what she had seen, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty: she mattered. And her presence here was not an accident. Her trembling hand rose, touching his chestplate with surprising strength. Her eyes glowed, brighter for a moment, and then dimmed again, like fading stars. She struggled to form words, her voice no more than a whisper against the chaos of war. He leaned close, his heart pounding. He felt her breath against his ear, faint and cold. Though her words were broken, he caught fragments that burned into his mind. A warning, a plea, a secret waiting to be revealed. Remove my mask, she whispered, before her voice faltered. Her head tilted back, her breath slowing, her eyes glowing dim. Rian's heart stopped. He looked at the strange mask that covered her face, lines of alien metal glowing faintly like a heartbeat. He hesitated, his hand trembling above it. In that second, he realized that whatever was behind that mask was not just a face, it was a truth. A truth powerful enough to change everything. And as the battlefield raged around them, Rian held the girl tighter, his mind spinning. She was dying, but her last words had already planted a seed in his heart. Whatever she carried behind that mask, it was meant for him. And in that moment, he knew the war was no longer just about survival. It was about the secret she carried, and the destiny waiting in her dying whisper. Rian pressed his hand against the strange mask, his fingers brushing over the smooth alien metal. It was warm, pulsing faintly like it carried a heartbeat of its own. He hesitated, torn between fear and duty. The battlefield still roared around him, yet in that small circle of broken stone and falling dust, time slowed. The alien girl's whisper echoed in his head, "Remove my mask." It wasn't a command. It was a plea. And somehow he knew it wasn't about saving her body, but about uncovering a truth too dangerous to stay hidden. Before he could decide, a shout came from behind. Two of his squad mates had seen him break from the line. They rushed forward, firing their rifles at the approaching machines. "Captain, what the hell are you doing?" one of them yelled, dropping behind cover. The other soldier's eyes widened when he saw the girl. "Sir, that's one of them. Leave her, we need to fall back." But Rian shook his head. "No, she's not the enemy." He couldn't explain why he believed it. He only knew that if he left her, something far worse than death would come. He lifted her higher in his arms, her glowing hair falling across his shoulder like silver fire. She was light, fragile, as if the war itself had broken her before he found her. His squad mates exchanged looks of disbelief, but didn't argue. They had no time. The machines were advancing, their glowing eyes cutting through smoke. Rian motioned. "Toward the ruins. We'll move through the back. Cover me." Blaster fire burned the air as they fought their way out. Rian carried the girl, his muscles screaming with the weight of his armor and her limp body. Every step felt endless, but he refused to let her go. Her faint breath against his neck reminded him she was still alive, and he clung to that hope. Like a soldier clings to a final bullet, they reached the shelter of an abandoned tunnel beneath the ruined city. The echoes of war dulled above them, replaced by the drip of water and the hum of distant fire. Rian laid the girl gently on the stone floor, brushing away dust from her cracked armor. His squad mates stayed near the entrance, watching with unease. "Sir," one of them whispered, "she's not human. She could be a trap." Rian ignored them. He knelt beside her, searching her face. Her glowing eyes flickered open again, weak but filled with strange calm. For a moment, he forgot the battle, the machines, even his duty. All he saw was her. Her lips moved, and though the words were alien, the meaning came clear to his heart. She was asking for trust. She was telling him that the mask was not her choice, it was a prison. His hand shook as he reached for the metal edges. "If this kills me," he muttered under his breath, "at least I'll know the truth." The mask resisted at first, clinging to her skin like a second face. But as he pressed along its lines, he felt the hidden locks release. The glow pulsed, then faded. With a final twist, the mask cracked open and slid away. Rian's breath caught. Beneath the alien shell was not a machine, not a monster. It was a face soft human-like, yet touched by light. Her skin was smooth and pale blue, veined with glowing silver lines that shimmered like rivers of starlight. Her lips trembled, her breath shallow, but her beauty was undeniable. She looked young, fragile, almost too human to belong to the enemy. His squad mates stepped closer, their shock plain. "Gods," one whispered. "She looks alive." The girl opened her eyes fully now. Without the mask, they burned brighter than before, like fragments of galaxies caught in her gaze. She reached for Rian's hand clutching it weakly, and this time her voice came clearer, though still faint. He didn't know her language, but he felt the truth inside him as if it was carved into his own bones. She wasn't their enemy. She was a prisoner of the machines, a weapon forced to wear their armor. And now she was dying in the arms of the only one who would listen. Tears burned in Rian's eyes, though he couldn't explain why. She had spoken only a handful of words, yet they carried a weight heavier than all the battles he had fought. Her whisper was not just about the mask. It was about something greater, something tied to the war itself. Her lips moved again, her breath weak against his ear. He leaned closer, listening with all his heart. This time he caught a single word, clear and sharp, spoken in his own tongue though twisted by her accent. Destiny. Then her eyes dimmed, her hand falling limp in his. Rian's heart stopped. He shook her gently, whispering for her to hold on. His squad mate stood frozen, torn between fear and awe. In that moment, Rian realized her words had bound him to something larger than survival. The war was no longer about humans versus machines. It was about her secret, her truth, and the destiny she had given him with her dying breath. And whether he wanted it or not, his life had just changed forever. The silence in the tunnel pressed down like a heavy weight. Rian sat still, his hands trembling as he held the alien girl's lifeless fingers. The words she had spoken, destiny, echoed inside his mind louder than the war above. His squad mates whispered in the background, their voices sharp with fear and confusion. They had seen her face, heard her voice, and felt the strange pull of her presence. None of them could explain it, but all of them knew something had changed. She's gone, Captain, one of the soldiers muttered. We should move. The machines will track us down soon. Rian didn't answer. He stared at her glowing eyes, now dim but not dark. Her body still pulsed faintly, like a dying ember refusing to fade. He pressed his ear close to her chest. There. It was a faint hum, not like a heartbeat, but something deeper, mechanical and alive at the same time. She wasn't gone, not fully. Something inside her was still fighting. He looked at his men. She's not dead, not yet, the soldier frowned. With respect, sir, she's the enemy. Whatever she is, we can't carry her with us. Rian's jaw tightened. We're not leaving her. His voice left no room for argument. He slipped, his arms beneath her again, lifting her light frame against his chest. She didn't stir, but her faint glow seemed to brighten at his touch. For reasons he couldn't explain, it felt as though she trusted him, even now. The squad moved deeper, into the tunnels, guided by old maps stored in their visors. The war above raged on, every blast shaking dust from the ceiling. But down here in the dark, Rian's mind kept returning to her last word. Destiny. What had she meant? Why him? And why now, in the middle of a war humans were already losing? Hours passed before they reached a hidden bunker, left from the first days of the colony. The steel doors groaned as they pushed them open, revealing dusty supplies and faint emergency lights still glowing after years of silence. They sealed the entrance behind them and finally breathed in safety. Rian laid the girl on a cot. Her body was still, but her glow refused to fade. He brushed her silver hair aside, studying the strange markings on her skin. They weren't wounds, they looked like patterns, etched lines of energy pulsing faintly with each flicker of her breath. She looked fragile, yet powerful, like a storm contained inside a glass shell. Captain, his second-in-command spoke carefully. What if this is a trap? What if the machines sent her to confuse us? Rian shook his head. No, she asked me to remove the mask. That wasn't an enemy's trick. That was someone begging for freedom. The soldier hesitated, then looked away. Then what is she? That was the question burning in all of their minds. Rian didn't have the answer, but as he stared at her, he felt a pull deeper than logic. It wasn't just pity. It was connection. as if she had chosen him for something he couldn't yet understand. Later, as the others slept, Rian stayed awake beside her. The bunker hummed softly, but the louder sound was the faint vibration from her body. He placed his hand gently on her chest. The hum grew stronger, and suddenly images burst in his mind, flashes of stars, ancient battles, and a great machine tearing worlds apart. He gasped, pulling back, but the images didn't fade. They burned inside his memory like they were his own. He saw her standing in the middle of it all, wearing the mask, her eyes empty, her body controlled by forces beyond her will. She was a weapon, forged by the machines, but not one of them. She was something older, something powerful, trapped in a shell of war. The visions ended as quickly as they came, leaving him shaking. He looked at her pale face, and the truth settled. In his heart, she wasn't just another alien caught in the war. She was the key to it. And now she had passed that burden to him. The girl stirred then, her lips parting. Her voice was a whisper, weak but clear. This time the words came in broken human tongue, as if she had dug them out from the depths of memory. "Not enemy," she breathed. "War, not yours, destiny." Rian leaned closer, his heart pounding. "Whose war is it then? What do you mean?" Her eyes flickered open, just enough for a glimmer of light to shine through. "Ancient. Machine destroy all." Her breath caught, her chest rising weakly. "Only human heart can stop." Then she fell silent again, slipping back into unconsciousness. Rian sat frozen. The weight of her words crushed him. If she spoke the truth, then this war wasn't just about humans defending their colony. It was part of something far bigger, something that stretched across stars. And somehow she believed he was part of the answer. He looked at his men sleeping against the wall. None of them knew what he now carried. None of them could understand. But deep inside, Rian felt the shape of the truth. Her last words hadn't just changed his destiny. They had changed the destiny of every human still alive. And as he sat in the dim light of the bunker, watching her fragile chest rise and fall, he made a silent vow. He would protect her, no matter the cost. Because if her secret was the key to ending the war, then her survival was the only hope humanity had left. The silence of the bunker did not last long. Hours passed, but Rian's instincts refused to let him rest. Something gnawed at him, a tension in the air that no thick steel door could block. The alien girl lay still on the cot, her glow faint but steady. His squad slept uneasily nearby, weapons close at hand, but even in their sleep, their faces were hard with fear. Then it happened. A faint sound, almost too low to notice, pulsed through the walls like a beacon. It wasn't mechanical, not exactly, but it carried the rhythm of a signal. Rian froze. He turned toward the girl. Her skin glowed brighter for a moment, her body trembling as if caught in a current. Her presence wasn't silent anymore. It was calling out, whether she wanted it to or not. He clenched his jaw. The machines would sense it. They would track her like hunters smelling blood. His gut twisted with certainty. The bunker shook violently a moment later, dust raining from the ceiling. His men shot awake, grabbing weapons. "Contact!" One of them shouted. A second tremor rolled through, followed by the echo of grinding metal. Something was clawing through the earth above. Rian moved fast. "We need to move now," he slung. The girl over his shoulder, ignoring the weight of his armor pressing into his bones. The squad scrambled toward the far tunnels, flashlights cutting through the dark. Behind them, the steel door screamed as it bent under unseen force. Sparks lit the bunker as the machines ripped their way in. The tunnel shook with every step. The girl stirred weakly, her hand twitching against Rian's chest plate. He pressed her closer, whispering without thought, "Hold on, just hold on." He didn't know if she heard him, but her faint glow brightened with his words. They ran deeper until the tunnels split. Rian halted, scanning both paths. The air down the left was thick with dust and rubble, collapsed in places. The right path sloped downward, colder, leading toward the old power conduits of the colony. Both were dangerous. Both could trap them. His second in command, Lieutenant Kale, hissed under his breath. "Captain, we can't keep dragging her. She's slowing us down. Every step we take with her puts us closer to death." Rian's eyes hardened. "She's the reason we're still alive." Kale glared, torn between duty and fear. "She's a beacon. They're following her, not us. If we leave her, maybe they'll stop hunting." The other soldiers looked between them, their faces pale. For a moment, the weight of choice pressed on Rian's shoulders heavier than the war itself. But when he looked down at her fragile form, her glowing skin against the darkness, he knew there was no choice. He would not abandon her. "We go right," Rian said firmly, cutting off further argument. His squad followed, though doubt shadowed their steps. The deeper tunnels were colder, filled with echoes of dripping water and the hiss of old pipes. The glow of the girl's body cast strange shadows across the walls. She stirred again, whispering broken words. Rian leaned close, catching fragments heart. "Protect, machine hunts." "Captain," Kale muttered from behind. "She's leading them straight to us. If she keeps glowing like that, we won't make it out." Before Rian could answer, the ground shook violently. The machines had entered the tunnels. Their metallic footsteps thundered closer, each step grinding against stone. Energy beams hissed in the dark, scorching walls. The squad fired back, filling the tunnels with smoke and screams. Rian ducked into an alcove, shielding the girl with his body as bolts of light scorched the stone above them. He could hear Kale shouting orders, men screaming as they fought against the impossible. The machines pushed relentlessly, their cold eyes cutting through the dark. The girl's body shivered in his arms, her glow pulsing like a heartbeat in sync with the machine's advance. Rian grit his teeth. "Tell me what to do," he whispered. Desperate. "If you want me to protect you, then give me something." Her eyes flickered open, glowing bright despite her weakness. She raised her trembling hand and pressed it against his chest. Suddenly, a surge of energy rushed through him. His visor flickered, his rifle hummed, and strange symbols danced across his HUD. The girl's voice filled his mind, not in words, but in feeling clarity, direction, purpose. Images burned into his vision. A map of the tunnels, glowing paths twisting deep underground. One of them shone brighter than the rest, a path leading to a chamber hidden beneath the colony. There, in the heart of stone, something waited. Her voice whispered faintly in his mind. "There, destiny." Rian gasped, his body trembling from the force of her touch. He looked down the dark path. He didn't know what waited, but he knew it was the only chance. He stood tall, rifle ready in one hand, the girl in the other. "Squad with me," he barked. His voice carried more strength than he felt. "We're not running anymore. We're going to where she leads us." Kale stared, disbelief plain, but even he obeyed. The squad fell in line, retreating down the glowing path as the machines roared behind them. And as Rian carried her deeper into the dark, the girl's faint glow seemed to guide every step. Like a light born to cut through the storm, the tunnels narrowed as the squad pushed deeper underground. The air grew colder, damp with the smell of stone and rusted pipes. Every step echoed, carrying both their fear and their determination. Behind them, the thunder of metallic footsteps never stopped. The machines were relentless, their cold eyes chasing them through the dark like predators tracking wounded prey. Rian held the alien girl close, his arms burning with the weight, but he refused to slow. Her faint glow illuminated the path ahead, guiding them through twists and turns. The map she had shown him in that strange vision burned in his mind, every step pulling them closer to the hidden chamber she had revealed. He didn't know what waited there, but he trusted her. Somehow her destiny was tied to his now. and he would follow it to the end. The squad reached a massive stone arch sealed with metal doors far older than the colony itself. Strange symbols carved into the surface shimmered faintly when the girl's glow touched them, as if recognizing her. The soldiers stared in awe. "What is this place?" Kale whispered. Rian didn't answer. He pressed his hand against the door, but it didn't move. The girl stirred weakly in his arms, raising her trembling hand. Her fingers brushed the ancient metal, and the symbols flared with light. With a grinding roar, the doors slid open, revealing a vast chamber beyond. The squad entered cautiously. The chamber was enormous, carved into the heart of the earth, its walls lined with ancient machines half buried in stone. At the center stood a towering structure, a crystal-like pillar glowing with shifting colors. Its light bathed the chamber in a strange, dreamlike glow. The girl's body seemed to respond, her faint glow pulsing brighter as if the place itself was calling to her. "This isn't human," one soldier muttered. "This was here before us." Rian laid the girl gently at the base of the pillar. Her eyes fluttered open, brighter now, and her lips parted. "Home," she whispered. The pillar answered her voice. Light poured from its surface, filling the chamber with warmth. The ancient machines embedded in the walls flickered to life, humming softly. The soldiers backed away in fear, raising their weapons, but Rian held up his hand. "Wait, don't fire." The girl pressed her palm against the pillar. Symbols of light spread outward, forming a web across the chamber. Her body shook as if the energy was too much for her to bear, but she did not pull away. Rian knelt beside her, gripping her shoulder. "What are you doing?" Her glowing eyes met his, and this time her words were clearer. "Key, awaken, truth." Before he could ask more, the ground shook violently. The sound of tearing stone echoed through the tunnels. The machines had found them. Their cold voices screeched as they poured into the chamber, their eyes burning like fire. Energy beams crackled through the air, striking walls and shattering stone positions. Kale shouted, and the squad spread out, opening fire. The chamber erupted into chaos, blasts of light and fire mixing with the hum of ancient power. Rian turned back to the girl. Her hand trembled against the pillar, her body weakening, but the glow around her grew stronger. The crystal pulsed with her heartbeat, each beat shaking the chamber. She was not just connected to this place, she was part of it. The machines surged forward, climbing over rubble and firing relentlessly. Rian raised his rifle, cutting down the first wave, but more poured in. "We can't hold them," one soldier shouted. The girl gasped, her voice barely audible. "Protect, heart, only human can stop." Rian's mind flashed with the vision she had given him, machines tearing through stars, worlds crumbling. Her mask forcing her into servitude. Now he understood. The pillar wasn't just a relic, it was a weapon. Or maybe something even greater, an ancient core of power meant to fight the machines. But it needed her to awaken it. And she needed him. He dropped beside her, shielding her from falling debris. "Tell me how to help," he shouted over the roar of battle. Her glowing hand reached for his, pressing it against the pillar beside hers. The crystal burned hot under his touch, sending a surge of energy through his body. Symbols flared across its surface, brighter and faster, as if responding to his presence. The chamber shook harder, dust raining from the ceiling. His squad fought desperately, holding the machines at bay, but they were being pushed back step by step. Kale shouted over the gunfire, "Captain, whatever you're doing, do it faster." Rian gritted his teeth, pressing his hand harder against the pillar. The girl's voice filled his mind again, faint but strong. "Only heart can unlock. Only choice can end war." He closed his eyes, letting the energy surge through him. The pillar answered, glowing brighter until the entire chamber burned with light. The machines screeched, halting mid-charge as the power washed over them. For the first time, Rian felt the tide shift. The girl's body slumped against him, weak but still glowing. Her whisper reached his ear, soft and filled with trust. Together. And with that single word, the pillar roared to life, flooding the chamber with a wave of light so bright, it drowned out everything else. Asterisk. The light from the pillar consumed the chamber, brighter than fire, brighter than any weapon humans had ever built. The machines froze mid-stride, their glowing eyes flickering wildly as the energy burned through them. They screeched in unison, their bodies shaking, before collapsing into heaps of lifeless metal. The roar of battle faded into silence. Only the hum of the pillar remained, pulsing in rhythm with the alien girl's faint heartbeat. Rian held her against him, shielding her from falling dust. Her face was pale, her glowing lines dim, her breath shallow. She had given everything to awaken this place. He looked up at the pillar, now glowing like a star trapped in stone, and felt the truth. In his chest. This was no weapon, it was a heart. A heart left behind by something older, built to resist the machines. But without her, it would never have awakened. Her weak voice broke the silence. It listens to you. Rian looked down. No, it listens to us, together. Her lips trembled in a faint smile, her eyes flickering with light. Human heart, stronger than steel. That is why I chose you. Tears stung his eyes. He wanted to tell her to hold on, to fight, but deep inside he felt the truth. She wasn't meant to live long after this. She was a key, a bridge between the old power and the new. And she had used the last of her strength to give humanity a chance. The pillar's light pulsed again, stronger this time, spreading through the walls, through the tunnels, and far above into the burning sky. For the first time in days, the sounds of war grew distant. Reports came through the soldiers' Cum's machine forces retreating, their advance collapsing as if some unseen force had ripped out their core. The tide of the war had shifted in an instant. Kale lowered his rifle, his eyes wide with disbelief. Captain, we won. The machines are pulling back. Rian looked at the girl. Her eyes fluttered, barely open. Her glowing hand reached for his cheek. Not victory, not yet. This heart, only first. Machines will return. But you will lead them now. Me? His voice cracked. Why me? Her hand trembled, her touch feather-light against his skin. Because when all others saw a prisoner, you saw a soul. Her glow dimmed further. Rian clutched her hand, desperation clawing at his chest. Stay with me. You don't have to go. Not now. She shook her head faintly. Destiny, given. My breath ends here, but yours begins. Her final smile was soft, filled with peace. Then the light in her eyes faded. Her body grew still in his arms, her glow fading into the warm light of the pillar. For a long moment, Rian couldn't breathe. The war, the machines, the world, all of it felt distant compared to the weight of her silence. The chamber was quiet except for the hum of the pillar. Rian lowered her gently to the base of the crystal, his hand lingering on hers. The glow from the pillar spread across her body, wrapping her in light. Slowly, her form dissolved, not into ash or dust, but into pure radiance. She became part of the heart she had awakened. A guardian forever bound to it. The soldiers stood in silence, heads bowed. Even Kale said nothing, his eyes heavy with respect. Rian rose slowly, the warmth of the pillar filling him with strength. He looked at his men, then at the path back to the surface. This war isn't over, but now we have a chance. She gave it to us. We don't waste it. The squad nodded, their fear replaced by something harder. Sharper hope. When they emerged from the tunnels hours later, the colony was still scarred and burning, but the sky no longer blazed with enemy fire. The machines had retreated, leaving behind silence and smoke. The survivors stared as Rian and his squad appeared. their eyes drawn to the strange glow that still clung faintly to his armor. Rian stood tall, the weight of her last words burning in his heart. He was no longer just a captain fighting to hold a crumbling line. He was the keeper of her legacy, chosen not by command but by trust. Humanity's survival no longer rested only on weapons or walls, but on the strength of their hearts and the destiny she had given him. That night, as the fires of war dimmed, Rian stood alone beneath the broken sky. He closed his eyes, remembering her final whisper, "Destiny." He placed his hand over his chest, where her touch had burned into him, and swore silently. He would carry her gift. He would lead. And when the machines returned, humanity would be ready. And somewhere deep in the earth, the ancient heart pulsed on, alive with her spirit, waiting for the day it would rise again.